You know, Derek, there is nothing quite like watching the Philippines get a win in the Hearthstone Global Games. It doesn't matter who's representing them, but the high fives, the cheers, the players always play together. It really is always so heartwarming to see.
It really is. A lot of very fond memories I have of Filipino players over the years. We're obviously good friends with Gia. Staz is always great to see him in the Hearthstone Global Games. And even as far back as Switch, I think it was, who was winning the Taipei Tour
That's
Stop
right.
way
That's right.
back in the day. Yeah, it's a very, very close-knit community, and I'm a big fan of them altogether. And I think they're very, very good as well. Considering, as I was saying, Staz was somewhat of an underdog, or at least I felt so going into going into the Grand Masters last year. I think he's definitely proved me wrong, and Gia has definitely done her fair share of making me look like an idiot as well.
She does that to all of us. But
Yeah.
we appear to be wasting no time whatsoever, as we are already well and truly in Game 1. It's going to be Glory on the Shaman up against Jack Attack on the Druid. I kind of blinked and missed the start of this game, but there's an Evil Totem down on one side, and there doesn't appear to be a way for Jack Attack to clear it. So I'd say that's a relatively good start for the Shaman already.
Yeah, it's looking like a very, very good start indeed. Take a look at Japan's deck list as I get those up eventually. I have to navigate back through this website, which I will not comment upon. But I do believe they have a slightly interesting build of the Token Druid. Obviously, as you can see, other than the Quest Druid. With like Lava Bursts and the Evil Totem in there as well. It's definitely a different build of the of the usual way to go. Personally, I'm more a fan of the standard builds, but we'll have to see if it works out for them.
Yeah. No, Doomhammer. It's very much a mishmash of the two decks. But I've told you how much I love seeing a Lava Burst being flung into the face, Derek. So we'll see how this one goes. But yeah, as I was saying at the start, like having an Evil Totem down and sticking to the board this early, that always feels pretty great. And for Jack Attack, yeah, he can clear it with Loti next turn, but that does mean spending all of his mana crystals, and that's not ideal.
Yeah, the problem at the moment for Glory, I guess, isn't necessarily that he doesn't have a good hand. It's just at the moment he's not doing much damage as it currently stands. You really want to be getting a nice big minion down right at the start against Druid if you can. But if you can't get a down right at the start, a huge minion or a huge board, doing so in the mid game is often good enough. So Glory may need to slightly shift his strategy here, trying to set up for the biggest possible Stormbringer. But I mean, even having said that, without a Soul of the Murloc, it can be very difficult to even get to that point where you're sticking a board against the face of a Starfall.
I mean, Glory can just pretty much go as aggressively as he likes here, right? Slamming Vasina just looks good. It's a 2/6. At this early stage in the game, Jack Attack very unlikely to be able to deal with it. And even if Loti, for example, did rush in, oh no, it can't even. It doesn't have poisons at the moment, so it would have to be a stealth Loti that later kills it.
I think I
what a
like
strong
stealth
start.
Loti. Yeah, stealth Loti feels very, very powerful here because not only does it threaten the Vasina, it basically it doesn't necessarily stop a Mogu Evolve or a Mogu Mutate, but it disincentivizes it greatly. And any time that you can buy yourself a tool in this matchup is very important.
Well, there's a Lava Burst in the hand, Derek, and there's a Lickum. I mean, maybe I'm just being a little bit too aggressive there, but I was looking straight at the big dam here.
Would we not rather potentially set up for 7 legendary minions on the following turn?
A solid argument. It's hard to disagree with that.
Like, I agree that it probably doesn't work out. Having Starfall in hand is fairly likely at this point. And even just an Oasis Surger would put a stop to a lot of that plan. But you've got to take the risk here as Glory. This is far and away your most likely avenue to victory. And with the Titanic Lackey, as we can see here, they're even able to make it more likely they stick something going into the following turn.
So it would have been 16. Yeah, I mean, 16 damage, I guess, isn't enough to sort of throw everything into it. So, and like you said, this this sets up a really, really nice turn with no way that Jack Attack can clear everything. Yeah, okay, Starfall. Oh, sorry, the quest is complete, so...
Yeah.
He can clear most things, but still leaves 2 minions alive, 3 minions alive? Yeah.
Yeah, 3 minions alive, as well as the fact that one of those minions alive is a Spirit of the Bat, which means +4/+4
Oh, man.
will be distributed amongst the hands of Glory. I would imagine preferably on the Titanic Lackey over the Sea Giant.
Alright,
Alright,
half each.
and half. Yeah.
We take that.
It's like that weird half and half bread that's not really half of either, it's just a bit weird.
Okay. You think it's 3 legendaries now then? It's hard to spot any other.
Yeah, I'm
play.
thinking 3 legendaries. I don't think you're going to get better than that in the next few turns. Like, if they have Oasis Surger or Loti or Swipe or Wrath, like, there's so many cards they could have here that just make it 2 or even less.
Still does deal, I think, 12 damage here. Oh no, 11 damage. 11 extra damage, as in including the extra damage from the Lickham and the extra damage from the zero attack minions. Which you do throw away by playing the legendary minions, but I think the chance of you actually winning the game, as you said earlier, is dramatically higher by turning this board into legendary minions rather than...
if you wanted to, you could zap your own Vicina first, push the extra 4 damage face and the Lickham.
Okay.
But I think I agree with this play overall, just trying to get the most amount of stats on board as possible. That's not a terrible bunch of minions off the Stormbringer, but I don't know if it's game winning.
No, I've definitely seen better. Excuse me. I don't know if you heard that.
I did.
Zephyrus now picked up as well for Jack Attack. Obviously the Druid thing has happened where it's not active yet, but I don't think Jack Attack cares too much because Loti does deal with the one big threat on the board, and the Anubis Defender, well, defends from almost everything else. Glory is really struggling to find a way to push the damage in, but Evolve drawn. Is that good?
It's not bad.
Okay.
It's not bad at all. Sure, I can understand getting down on a later turn. Sea Giant definitely feels like the priority, but at any point from here on in, upgrading a Glass Knight and a Madame Lazul, pretty powerful indeed.
Yeah, I mean the Glass Knight has turned into something quite formidable, given the Divine Shield as well. Jack Attack though, this Druid deck full of ways to remove it for sure. Double Oasis Surger would clean it up nicely. Swipe plus Double Oasis Surger is definitely something to consider.
Swipe Oasis Surger and then taking out everything other than the Sea Giant definitely feels like where my head is at the moment.
Yeah, I think I'm with you.
Yeah.
There's no way quite to deal with the Sea Giant without going that route. So yeah, swipe one of the other minions to pop the Divine Shield, and then the 2 Surges value trade. Jack Attack still on 23 health. Sea Giant unlikely to represent lethal. However, as we can see, there is still a Lava Burst. There is a Lickham. A second Lava Burst would have just been lethal there.
Whoa, Spirit of the Frog is a juicy card to find as well, though. I mean, you know, if we're talking about chaining up to Lava Burst, you know, needing the second Lava Burst, obviously Evolve messes that up because it turns the Frog into a 4-drop. But if you can find another 1-cost spell, or I mean, hell, maybe just taking the Soul of the Murlocs is good enough here anyway.
Oh, he's so close to lethal. He just doesn't have them. If he had infinite mana this turn, he'd just get there, wouldn't he?
Well, I mean, no, because he wouldn't be able to draw past 2 mana anyway.
Yeah, Spirit of the Frog into the... Oh, of course. Sorry.
Yeah, clearing up the board, paving the way for the Giant, saying, you know what, even a Starfall doesn't deal with this. We've seen the Loti already. It is going to be a tall order indeed to kill off this Giant.
You know, if he had infinite mana and infinite cards, then it would have been lethal.
Yes, I mean, if he had a button that said kill your opponent, then he would win the game as well.
Okay. 7 mana 10/10 isn't horrific. None of them are horrible. Like, none of the choose one cards where you get both effects are ever terrible. But I do like the Ancient of War here. It gets right in that Sea Giant's way.
Yeah, it's definitely the best card that you're finding there, without a doubt.
Maybe we can find something better in the second one. A Starfall to go with the Wrath would have been ideal, but no, 2 Wraths don't quite get the job done. So Hidden
Neither does-
Oasis looking pretty solid.
Yeah, it's got to be the Hidden Oasis here. Yeah, it's just too powerful. Like, it could be Hidden Oasis Wrath on this turn is pretty good. Probably targeting the Sea Giant, yeah.
This game does feel like it's slowly starting to get away from Glory. Well, quite quickly getting away from Glory, actually, with that massive heal on the other side. Let's see what gets picked up now. Is it something that can change the game? Bloodlust. Oh, in some circumstances, this card would change the game, but it doesn't look like Glory's got the pieces.
It allows the Giant to connect through, so you're definitely playing it on this turn. It's just whether or not your Giant's going to be able to survive the following turn is the question, and it, again, just seems unlikely. The Druid probably has enough stuff to throw in the way to close it out.
Back down to 12 health. Things are, I guess, kind of scary for Jack Attack here. As, yeah, quite rightly puts a Crystal Merchant down, wants to try and dig for some more answers, more heals, something to guarantee safety. And yes, Hidden Oasis is one of the best cards that he could have drawn here. Assuming he survives this turn, it's very unlikely now that Glory can get past another 12 health and another 6/6 with Taunt.
Yeah, he's able to get another 1-cost spell, so he can actually cycle through these now. But even a Lava Burst off the top, I'm not seeing it get the job done. If he could get a Dream Evolve into maybe a Houndmaster Shore off of the Frog, then we're looking at some kind of a possibility.
Okay.
But the problem is the ordering is really horrible because he wants to play the Evolve and the Soul on the same turn. But if he plays the Evolve first, he won't be able to draw the Lava Burst. But if he plays the Soul first, it won't do anything, and it will purely be to draw the Lava Burst.
Yep, and having the board survive feels like a priority, given that we've already seen a Starfall. Chance of there being a second one isn't too high. So there you go. And this is a formidable board.
Kind of good thing for Glory that he went for it this way, because with Kirin Tor Tricast, we wouldn't have been able to cast the Lava Burst anyway.
But with the pickup of Nourish, Zephyrus is now active on 24 health. Jack Attack isn't afraid at the moment, but as soon as he's ready to, he can just clear up this board.
Look at that disgusting 4-mana 8/9 Taunt. I've never even seen that before. Absolutely filthy.
At least Ancient of War isn't a transform effect, or it would have been a 4-mana 10/10.
Yuck, yuck, yuck. Okay, you can sink everything into the Giant, into the Ancient of War, sorry. And then you can sink everything into the Oasis, and nothing happens.
Desert Hare, just not enough at this late stage in the game. 3/1/1s without an Evolve or without a Stormbringer just doesn't seem to cut it. And yeah, we can give everything a Death Rattle. We can make this board stick around. Maybe we can draw a second Bloodlust. But even then, with Zephyrus in the hand, ready to go, with Ferocious Howl to gain some armor, there is very little that Glory can do against Jack Attack now.
Yep. So we're looking at Zephyrus into Defile.
Need a hand, Explorer?
That's it.
Your wish is my suggestion.
Frost Nova. Oh, it doesn't even offer Frost Nova here.
Ooh, that's awkward.
That's kind of funny. Yeah. I mean, I guess Arcane Explosion doesn't really do that much, so you probably take MCT. Because you're just winning the next turn anyway. Or do you take Pyroblast, I guess, if you're never dying anyway, and then just kill him.
How sure are you that you're not dying?
I mean, I can't remember what the board was looking like, but fairly sure, I guess,
Yeah,
with
I
the
think
Frozen Style as well.
Even
Yeah.
Bloodlust just isn't good enough.
And that's definitely not good enough. That's going to be GG. 1-0 to New Zealand now in this second series of Group A. Performance as well. I think that there was a bit of a window there for Japan to take the advantage with the Sea Giant in play, and I think they played it all absolutely right. You know, when they went for the Stormbringer, I think it was correct, but it was just what happens with that matchup against Druid. If you don't kill him quick enough, you lose.
Yeah, New Zealand very comfortably take that first series. That leaves them with, as we didn't actually have time to run through the lineups due to how quickly the game started, that leaves them with their Mage active, which is Reno Mage,
You asked
and
for it.
also their Shaman, which they shielded. We're going to hop on over to Patra now, up against Glory. Glory repeating the Druid once more. And, oh no, sorry, he was on the Shaman before. Glory now on the Druid, and Patra now playing with the Mage. Mage is a deck that we've not seen much at all today, or rather at all during the Hearthstone Global Games, but we have seen one team bring this weekend, so it's the second team we've seen.
Not a bad start at all for the Mage, it's got to be said. A nice early Mountain Giant is one of the things that Druid has struggled with most of all since the inception of Hearthstone. I guess Naturalized back in the day was a decent counter to Mountain Giant, but now the best they've got is pretty undeniably War Druid Loti, and with that nowhere in sight, maybe Patra's just going to run away with a big scary Mountain Giant to stomp the game.
Yeah, Patra definitely looking like she does have the sort of hand that could run away with this quite quickly. Obviously, I'd love to say I wonder what Glory will do over the next few turns, but it seems somewhat obvious. The answer to that is complete the quest, which means float some mana crystals.
Loti being found though is very, very nice. It means that a AI on this turn into Mountain Giant on the following turn could just be shut out completely if he wants to go for a preemptive stealth Loti, which, I don't know, I think it's a pretty good plan.
Yep, and it looks like Glory is going to go with it. Obviously, the players did have access to their opponent's deck lists, so they knew what to expect. They know there's a Mountain Giant, and they Glory suspects that it's ready to go in Patra's hand. And this does shut down Patra's initially quite easy turn, and it's going to have to be Arcane Keysmith instead.
Need a key?
Counterspell looks pretty fantastic to me. There's not, you know, there's not too many cheap spells that Druid is happy just getting rid of to counterspell. Obviously, Innovate or the Worthy Expedition, if you can, is pretty good. But if you're able to just delay a Nourish, if not counter it, that is a huge advantage that you're finding yourself with. And even though it's likely to just hit a Ferocious Howl here, I think that's a very, very worthy trade for Patra.
Yep. Definitely works out. Quest complete though for Glory, so he gets to start doing things from next turn onwards. And that frustrating 1-2 Poisonous continues to just sit there. So Celiax does seem like a pretty good defensive measure for it, but unfortunately, what that Poisonous is doing is it's preventing Patra from putting anything too big on the board, which means that very soon, when Glory actually starts to play the big things, he's going to get a good handle on this game.
We'll have to see how things develop though, because of course, Patra does not just have one big minion. This is unlike the previous Shaman matchup for the Druid. She has many, many, many huge threats to throw down onto the board. It's really just having enough time to do so, I guess, is her biggest restraint at the moment.
I wonder.
This is a little bit of a tough choice, to be fair, as to whether you go for a Wrath here at all. I imagine what's probably going to happen is Glory's going to end up going with either, Crystal Merchant or the Worthy Expedition, because Wrath for 4 damage can be used just as half of a removal spell to take down Giant, Alexstrasza, Ragnaros, whatever else, which can be a nice way to equalize the board state.
I mean, 2 mana, half take out a giant and draw a card is not bad by any means.
Pretty nuts.
6 mana though on the other side. Patra still looking at that Loti, that frustrating, awkward Loti. It's not very clear what she's supposed to do this turn. I mean, Sandbinder is playable. It would grab Zephyrus or Tiamat, but of course, her hand is also full. So Patra really needs to play something just to make some space.
Time runs out on me.
She does get the Zephyrus, so having to Frostbolt the Crystal Merchant. Doesn't feel great.
So now we are, of course, looking at a Wrath Oasis Surger turn, potentially to clear up the majority of this board, probably still leaving the Loti stealth. But actually, having said that, when you have an already pretty big board of like 2 and 3 health minions like the Oasis Surger, maybe you do just attack in with the Loti purely to play around Flame Strike.
Ooh.
Time waits for no one.
I mean, you take an extra Starfall. It's arguably the premium card in the deck after that quest has been completed.
Yeah,
But
I
no.
can agree with going for this play.
Really holding on to that Loti still.
Yeah, I think if you'd gone with the Starfall, with the Oasis Surger, sorry, you would have attacked in.
Okay.
But, you know, is this really a Flame Strike turn just on this? That seems like huge overkill for Patra.
There's no fancy Zephyrus shenanigans, is there?
What does Zephyrus even offer here? I don't actually know. Like, when it just sees small stealth minion?
Flare.
Yeah, like, I don't know. Deadly Shot? Probably not, right? Probably just proactive options and just ignores it.
If I think almost certainly if Patra manipulated the mana, it would offer a deadly shot.
Okay, fair enough.
Surely one of the 3 options has to be removable. Well, not has to be, but given the mana lining up. Wow. Okay. Well, that Loti is going to find a decent target after all.
I think this is still fine for Patra. Honestly, I think this is quite smart, this play, because, agreed, it does allow for a fantastic Loti trade here, but if Glory has to spend all or even most of his turn on clearing off the other 7-8, that gives Patra all the ability in the world to go Coin Alexstrasza or Power of Creation or Zephyrus plus a huge thing. Like, she has so much ability to just seize the board at that point.
True, but unfortunately it's only taking half of Glory's mana, and if Glory wants to, he can develop the second Oasis Surger. That's 2 more 5/5s, which does give him prominence on the board.
Time waits for no one.
Yep, I think I agree. Get down the Oasis Surge. Ooh. Alright, we want to talk of swing turns. Reno the Relicologist, the king of the swing, is able to pull this back nicely with Patra. And all of a sudden, it's that same situation where Glory, if he wants to be able to clear the board, has to spend a good chunk of his turn doing so. And Patra is just getting closer and closer and closer to an empty board to develop.
Reno worked out perfectly. Let's see what comes out of the lamp. Tyrion offered. See, that still confuses or surprises me a little bit. I'm surprised that we see Tyrion offered over Ysera.
Yeah, me too, a little bit actually. I guess it just values Tyrion that much higher, more highly.
It definitely used to give Ysera occasionally, right? I'm not crazy.
It still does occasionally, yeah.
Okay.
Like if you reduce its cost by 1, I think it will offer you Ysera.
Sure.
But if you actually have 9 mana left
Yeah,
over.
yeah. Weird.
Very strange.
So Flame Strike is a very nice clear on this board while leaving Reno as a 4-1.
What about
Does
Hmm.
Go on.
Coin Caligos Flame Strike? How does that sound?
That sounds pretty spicy.
Okay,
Coin
fair enough.
Caligos Flame Strike. Yeah, I mean it's exactly the same as playing Flame Strike. Such a
Oh no,
different
wait, the
board
first
set.
spell you play each turn, that doesn't work, right? Because you already played a
Oh
spell.
no, you're right. You're right.
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
right.
yeah. I'm a big
Thanks.
dum-dum.
But it doesn't sound spicy, Darag.
Yeah, it sounds very
disgusting.
stupid. Good play, Patra. What kind of... should the guy in the $3,000 suit make a huge misplay like that?
I get that reference.
Thanks.
So 4-mana Cenarius is pretty nice, but it's awkward that he can't play anything else before it. Obviously, he would like to buff more things with it, and as it's a floop, he can't play minion and then play it. So back to the drawing board on that one. Nothing really looks great though. Maybe it's one of those disgusting double Anubiseth defender turns for 5 mana a pop.
Our power.
Whoa!
Okay.
So that was a 10 mana 5/5.
Which is almost as bad as Coin Caligos. It's not quite, but it's up there.
What to do? What to do?
Hey, at least with Coin Caligos, she gets to discover a spell.
True. Alright, now it's the Caligos play. This seems much smarter,
The
doesn't it?
fate of the world hangs in the balance.
Yes. Oh, Luna's Pocket Galaxy. Is that even any good?
It would be if you were going to play it for 0 mana, but you're probably playing Power of Creation, so I think I prefer Frost Nova here.
Yeah, well, you do get one every turn, remember?
True, yeah. I mean, you I'd probably rather just go for the 0 mana Power of Creation, because Frost Nova can be really, really good. But I mean, this is fine. Yeah, this is still very powerful.
Right, but I'm saying if Caligos survives, then great. We'll just play Luna's next turn.
Sure.
Skimming over the deck, there are still in the deck. There's still Nozoth. There is still Siamat. I mean, there's still Sylvanas. These cards alone are worth it with the Lunas. There's a Karchit somewhere in there.
Mm-hmm.
Glory, though, back up to 36 effective health. That is a nice big board, but the one thing he cannot do is clear up the Caligos.
Lunas as the first play, Fantastico. Just get everything in the deck nice and cheap. And at this point, I guess see him out Rush Wind Fury is probably your best bet, and then you can take out both the King Feoris and, or I suppose one of the 3/5s and the 6/6. Yeah, that looks good to me.
Patra just chewing through this board, slowly but surely. Getting through. And yeah, do you know what? Why not? Just freeze that Feoris. Smack Glory in the face. That is 14 damage. And Glory doesn't have many ways to defend himself. Maybe this Nourish will be good enough to bring him back into the game.
If it activates Zephrys, you know, then we're talking like Zephrys Frost Nova. It didn't though. And now it's just too much pressure, really. He can survive the turn, but again, without Zephrys being active, I just don't think it's going to be good enough.
Behold, jewels of the sun. Ooh.
Oi, oi, oi. Right. Is that Alexstrasza lethal?
I bring life.
No. One off?
It's one off, right?
Yeah, so you just do that and then you Frost Nova and then that's GG. Yeah, okay. Or Conjurer's Calling is probably also GG.
I mean, I think accidentally pass the turn and then accidentally pass the turn as well is probably still GG. Zephrys
Probably,
now
yes.
is active though, and Kun was picked up, so maybe I'll hold my tongue on that one.
Okay, so what does this turn look like then? It could be Kun and then Starfall, 4 mana Kun, and then Zephrys into Flame Strike. Would that clear? It would clear off most things, actually, to be fair. If you targeted the Alexstrasza with the Starfall.
Caligos lives, unfortunately.
Yeah. So, I mean, you could just go for some kind of other Zephrys place. Yeah.
Oh,
Need a hand, explorer?
okay, all right.
Yeah,
Keep talking
yeah,
to
yeah.
me. That is
It
the
still
second
works.
Kun, with the third one presumably coming after the
Waits
Starfall,
for no one.
the first
Oi,
Starfall.
oi, oi.
So Kun,
is
Starfall. Surely this isn't Twisting Heaven, is it? Blizzard, okay.
Okay. They're just going for setting up lethal over the next couple turns.
Amazing. Oh! Okay, that turn was nutty.
That was indeed nutty.
The power of Kun
Oh.
in Druid is just
Yeah.
something else.
So, Pilgrim, if it can find Blizzard here, is not a lockout, of course, but makes it look much, much better here.
Okay,
There it is.
Blizzard setting up lethal the other way around. No Kuns left in the hand. But there is still a Zephrys there.
Yeah. Which, of course, could freeze again, or offer, like, Shadow Flame, which isn't bad here. After you swipe.
What to do? What to do?
Patra could just go ahead and load up a couple of 10 drops here, though, if she wanted to. I guess she still obviously is afraid of the second Zephrys, so she doesn't want to overload too much quite yet.
Time runs out on me.
Ooh.
Job's done.
Okay.
Interesting. Okay. Patra has decided, I guess, her hand is better than Glory's. I don't know if I agree with that.
What do you even do here? If you go Starfall, that clears off. I mean, you could then just leave the Caligos and the Pilgrim.
Okay.
Oh, I mean, or you could just let it go, right? You could just let the board explode and then just take your initiative next turn, try and
Well,
swing things back.
Like I said, it feels like Glory does have the better hand at the moment. Like,
Yeah,
just
it does.
let the board blow up, whatever. You've got Zephyrus, you've got another Elise. You got Pandas. Glory has value for days here. If anything, is he just using the Starfall just to get it out of the hand?
Yeah,
Just
sure. I mean,
targeting anything but the Doomsayer?
yeah, I think this is smart. With Elise in hand, you have access to as many Starfalls as you could possibly want. One mana minions. One mana minions, okay.
Put
Now
your
we're
faith
talking.
in the light.
As soon as N'Zoth is found. Whew.
I'm almost out of cards.
So if Glory was so inclined, he could get rid of the Zephyrus here for a Hex, which is obviously a great opportunity to use it. But that does mean he's then out of Zephyruses. I suppose that's not quite true, actually. The Floop would then become a Zephyrus, so he could keep the Dream alive in a way with the Elise copying that Zephyrus Floop.
Alternatively, there is the option to go Elise, Innovate Zephyrus,
Or he
Hex. But that feels like you're not getting the duplication that you actually want from that.
Yeah. He could go Zephyrus and then bounce the Zephyrus
Time
with
waits for no
Brewmaster.
one.
Okay. I like that more.
Yeah, me too. Because then that leaves the Floop as a Brewmaster. So then if you only play spells, you can then still copy a Brewmaster with the Elise and bounce back the Elise again and keep going infinitely.
Need a hand, Explorer?
That's a lot of Brewmasters.
That is an awful lot of Brewmasters. This definitely means that there's more potential for damage later, or for removal and sustainability, I suppose, for Glory later on in the game. But it does mean there's a Tyrion still on the board.
This honestly was looking like it was Patra's game. I mean, she was one off lethal earlier, came so close, but Glory, with that Kun pickup, has managed to swing it right around.
He absolutely has. It's crazy what Druid can do late game. But we all know what Mage can do when Luna's Pocket Galaxy enters the equation as well.
That is true. Patra's going to need to do a lot in order to keep up with the amount of board clears that Glory has going on at the moment, but you mentioned N'Zoth. Maybe N'Zoth will be enough to take Patra the game. Glory is now out of cards. Fatigue is starting to set in, and there's no bankers in Glory's deck. No way of going infinite, so the resources he has in hand, that's what he's got now.
That's the real problem for him, is that the Brewmaster definitely feels like a way to get quicker value out of the Elise, and obviously just like bounce Brewmaster back to your hand potentially, blah blah blah, all of that nonsense. What it does mean though is that a lot of the time you just die to fatigue, which I imagine is what's going to happen to Glory here. How does he kill Patra in the next few turns? He's going to struggle to.
What to do?
Swipe, and then try and get Zephyrus to give him some damage. Zephyrus doesn't even offer damage if you don't have lethal though.
No.
And then he'd just die.
Time waits for no one.
Alright, taking a clear turn instead. Seems fine enough.
Yep. Well, he has to empty his hand. That
Yeah.
is like part one of the plan anyway. So clearing the board at the same time makes a lot of sense. There is the N'Zoth.
Well, it could actually be Pyromaniac ping your own 3-1 and then N'Zoth potentially. Although I guess you'd probably rather wait a turn. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Getting a bit fancy then.
The N'Zoth's pretty good. You get back the cards, you get back Tyrion.
Yeah.
What,
I
what
forgot about
else?
Tyrion. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
insane.
yeah.
Starfall Swipe clears the board on this turn, but that would mean that that is a complete exhaustion of any board clears at all for Glory. You'd have to be relying purely on infinite Zephyr Seas at that point to have any chance of pulling things back. This is such a ludicrous hand.
I wonder. Time waits for no one. What to do?
Glory really not giving himself long to make this decision, though. It's going to have to be at least next turn, but for now... It's going to have so many pandas. What? Glory's going to have to play Zephyros this turn, though. Oh god, this is horrible. How is this game swung around the other way?
I know, it's just going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And the real problem with Zephyrus is there's no real good silencing board clear that you can go for. There's no Plague of Death, there's no Psychic Scream. And so everything, unfortunately, just leaves a whole bunch of annoying death rattles knocking about. I guess the best that you can get is MCT, maybe? Or freeze your opponent's board, but none of those are game-winning. He's got to think as well about potentially playing the Elise as the first card of the turn to extend his sustainability, but honestly at that point, maybe he's just dying too fast.
Elise, Zephyrus, Frost Nova, I guess.
Yeah,
is...
or Elise, Zephyrus,
Need a hand,
MCT.
Explorer?
Yeah, okay.
Your wish is my
Well,
Yeah,
either way-
got to go for it this way.
Gonna be Elise into Zephyrus, and yeah, Frost
waits
Nova is
for
picked
no
up quite quickly.
So he can play like up to 6 Zephyruses from this point onwards. But even then, I don't know if it's going to be enough.
Magic shall not save you.
I can play even more Zephyrus than that. Every panda can be a Zephyrus as well.
Yeah.
But you can have all the value in the world if you've got no cards left. You're taking fatigue and facing down a board full of death rattles. It doesn't look like it's going to be enough glory. Patra, who had the advantage in the early game, managed to take complete control and ended up one off lethal, has now fought her way back.
So true. All the value in the world, but you can't take it with you. Oh, do you remember that when he says that at the start of Spider-Verse? That's a good villain story.
Yeah.
Ah, oh, such a good film. I'm going to watch that again soon.
It is a good film.
Your wish is my suggestion.
All right, what's the Zephyrus gonna be? It can be a MC Tech Hex or Brawl.
Yeah, it could be a double MCT this turn, right? Like MCT,
Okay.
second Zephyrus, MCT.
Yeah, absolutely. It's probably the best bet that Glory's got. He needs to take these Cartoons, or he needs to take a Cartoon and a Tyrion.
Yeah.
Stealing a Spellbreaker would be game over. Stealing the Zoth would be game over.
Engaging TC-130.
Time waits for no one.
Okay.
Your wish is my suggestion.
What?
I've never seen humility before. Once.
Okay. So the problem with the second.
Well, he had to
MC
trade
Tech is-
first, right?
Yeah, there wouldn't have been space on the board.
So if he traded first, it would have offered it? Is it just ping lethal now anyway?
I imagine
yeah,
so,
it,
yeah, I think
I
it's
don't
just-
think it matters.
A valiant effort to claw his way back into the game for Glory. Patra is going to take this one. Humility? What was it even wanting to target?
Don't ask me. Zephyrus works in truly strange ways.
New Zealand take their second win of the series. All they have left to win with is Shaman, which is a fantastic spot to be in. I think we can all agree. Can Japan fight their way back with their Druid, Priest, and Shaman? We'll find out after this short break. New Zealand lead the way 2-0 in this initial match for Group A. Will they be facing off against Philippines in the winners bracket after this one, or will Japan fight their way back? Derek, you got to admit it's looking pretty good for New Zealand.
It is looking very good indeed. Shaman left for them. The Token Shaman, the best deck in the game, in my humble opinion. We have seen a few reverse sweeps on the Token Shaman, to be fair. A lot of players are targeting it relatively heavily. But I still think that it is in with a very, very good shot indeed of being able to take the win here against the Druid. Spirit of the Frog is a fantastic start against any matchup. Not being on the coin hurts a little bit, but I think with a Mutate in hand, this is still looking like a muy caliente starting hand for Jack Attack.
Yeah, can't argue with that. Now Voltaic Burst picked up as well. So a lot of the tools there, as soon as we see a hair or a thunderhead or just one more card, one more piece of the puzzle, looks like Jack Attack is going to be ready to pop up. Even a Mogu Flesh Shaper would just be fantastic. As Possessi just going ahead and completing that quest bit by bit. Frog comes down though, Derek. You are the expert with this deck. What do you think is Jack Attack's plan at the moment?
Well, I think it starts with playing Spirit the Frog. I absolutely agree with that. And then after that, it gets a little bit awkward because you kind of want to cast Mutate as the first card from your hand thereafter. But if Frog is the only minion in play, you don't want to cast it on that because you want to keep chaining spells for a while. So it very possibly ends up with, on the next turn, unless something better is found, Voltaic Burst, Mutate one of the 1-drops, Evolve, and then Soul of the Murloc. All of which will come together. Or he could just go with a Mutate right now, which is kind of a cool line.
Oh, interesting.
Makes sense again, doesn't overload you, and makes something that doesn't die to the 1/4. I think it's smart.
Thunderhead now is drawn, but it's just not ideal, is it? The way this hand has come together. Kind of wants to play Voltaic Burst now into Soul of the Murloc. And I guess you could use the first one and then save the second one for Thunderhead, but it's just a bit of a shame.
This line looks good enough to me. Gets a nice big board with Soul of the Murlocs. Draws a lot of cards from their deck and sets up for a good evolve next turn. Even if Swipe were to come down here, it appears that Jackattack will be very, very happy still, able to get a nice big evolve on the following turn with another Soul of the Murlocs if he needs to. And
well,
there
that's
is that
true.
Swipe.
There is a swipe, which is a little bit annoying for Jackattack, but it does mean the quest isn't being completed this turn if Possessy does go with the swipe. And also, there's still the second Soul of the Murloc. There's still the Thunderhead. There's still, and like you said, the Evolve. There's still very good potential for a decent-sized Bloodlust next turn. Possessy going to hold off and use the Loti. By the looks of things. Stealth Poisonous, I expect. Yeah.
Oh boy. Well, we've been setting up for a big evolve turn for a while now, but it looks like Jackattack may have just found something even better with a big Stormbringer. I mean, I'm looking at the moment at what, evolve and then Soul of the Murloc?
That's what I'm looking at too.
Or you could just save the evolve and go Soul of the Murloc straight up. Yeah, okay. I'm fine with this. Because you really just want to make sure that you have as many minions on board as possible for the Stormbringer next turn. And Evolve, in a way, does that, because it, of course, means your minions are more likely to survive a swipe or starfall.
Yep.
But this, of course, just creates even more death rattles. I'm thinking 6 minions minimum on the following turn for a starfall.
As Starfall is picked up, yeah, but unfortunately for Possessy, it only does deal with the Death Rattle minions and not the ones that come out after them. So yeah, this has been very nicely navigated from Jackattack, and it does look like it is going to be the Stormbringer that brings in the big punch. How much damage would a Bloodlust be? So assuming Starfall was to be played, and then Loti deals with one of the 1/1s, there's 5 1/1s on the board. That's only what, 15 damage plus? That's only 20 damage.
Well, no, it'd be more than that, right? Because some of the minions have double 1/1 death rattle.
Oh, of course, yeah. Sorry, I'd forgotten about that. Yeah. Oh, in that case, maybe
well, it's
Racist Surger is just better.
If it's all 1/1s left over, then Bloodlust is 28 damage, I believe. So with a Nubasath Defender in the way, that would not be enough to deliver lethal quite. But even then, the Stormbringer, I think, should be more than enough to pull Jackattack miles into the lead. It would have to be some truly awful legendary minions to not be a lockout victory here.
Well, there's Lorinda's favourite, the Dustfallen Aviana, which she gets every single time.
Yes, naturally. Go, play it, go, go, go.
We want to see the cards, and...
Oh? That's pretty... Okay. That's not amazing.
No, it's quite mediocre, isn't it?
Yeah, a little bit underwhelming, but
Jack Attack gave us a thumbs down there, so that made clear what he thinks about it.
yeah, it's not great. But if it can't all be cleared off, it's still just the potential for GG. However, Possessi can actually clear off quite a lot of stuff here. The Oasis Surger is able to take out the Toki and the Illidan, and then the 3-4 and the 3-5 can take out the what is that? The 1-3 and Khadgar. It's no longer necessarily a winning position for Jack Attack because these legendary minions were just not big enough.
Yeah, however, there is still the evolve.
That's true. That's going to
So
help a lot.
The 4/4 stays alive, right? So that's a usually a 5-drop, right? So that's a 6 mana minion.
Yep.
Toki is surviving by the looks of things, unless the 5/5. Oh, the 5 is going to value trade. Interesting.
Okay. So as well, actually, Lightning Storm plus Evolve looks like a pretty powerful combo. Or maybe Thunderhead plus Evolve, actually. Yeah. Sure. Guarantee yourself the clear on the 2 defenders, and then push face with the rest. Set up for an Evolve next turn. This looks good enough to me.
Storm is... Alright, sure. One of the 1/1s has to go in, but that's no problem at all. In goes the 8 damage. Bloodlust still set up. Lethal still set up. Possessi can either play the Oasis Surger or the Hidden Oasis. Hidden Oasis does put him back up to 28 and leave a 6/6 alive, but the Oasis Surgers can deal with 2 of these 4 minions. The Oasis Surger is definitely very tempting here.
Yeah, I think it's quite a lot better here. You want to use the Hidden Oasis as the final, the final hurdle for the Shaman to get over that they are unable to hurdle over. Don't really know what happened to that analogy there, but basically that's the last thing you want to play that locks them out of the game. And I think the Oasis Surger also does a good job of shutting out Evolve or any nonsense like that coming in to turn this Oblivitron into a 7-drop.
Yep, agreed. It just does the most to shut down this board, but no, Possessi decided the Oasis Surger is the way to go. I guess it's an awkward shape for Jack Attack's board to deal with.
I guess
but...
so, yeah. It's not that
Jack
hard
Attack.
though. A 5/5 and a 1/1 makes pretty quick work of it.
Yeah.
Either way, this is now looking like a pretty clear opportunity to me to set up a Hair Evolve. Unless Bloodlust is lethal, which I don't think it
No,
is.
it's like 18 damage to the face, I think, this turn.
Cool. In that case, yeah, lick him, trade in...
To be fair, is Bloodlust bad, even though it only deals 18? Like, it's 18, you trade in the Thunderhead, and then everything else goes face for 18. You still got the second Bloodlust to deal the remaining 10.
I think I'd rather make a big board this turn. Your opponent's clearly showed weakness to clearing this stuff off.
Okay, yeah, Hair Evolve is too good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very nicely done, killing off the Thunderhead, so you get a 7-drop off of the Oblivitron. This is a lot more like it now.
Yeah, who needs the Stormbringer when Evolve is going to give you Gonk?
Load of old gonk. Double swipe, I don't think even comes close to clearing off enough here to survive against Bloodlust. Oh, actually, no, sorry, I take that back. It does clear off just about enough to survive against Bloodlust. Just because there are a couple of low rolls there.
But Jack Attack has 2 Sludge Slurpers that can be played before playing the Bloodlust.
6, 12, 15 damage on this turn. Not quite there, not quite.
Just grab 2 Kobold Lackeys from these Sludge Slurpers. Easy.
I wonder if the play is just to go Stormbringer, Thunderhead Hero Power to set up for double Bloodlust on the following turn. Maybe that's a little bit over-ambitious.
Witchy Lackey to set up for a very nice Evolve on the Sandbinder.
Is that better than Gonk taking an 8-drop?
Oh, good question. No, good point, good point.
Yeah, there's a lot of really good 8-drops. I think either way, it doesn't really matter. You're probably looking at taking the game.
But there you go.
Yeah.
4 health remaining. Oasis Surger not looking like it's going to clear enough damage off the board. Let's see where Jack Attack goes with it. He is going to go with the Sandbinder. I guess opting to increase health
Yeah.
over attack, because Gonk already has 7 health, and now that 4/6 isn't going anywhere.
True.
Zephyrus unplayable. That is looking like New Zealand, Patra and Jack Attack going to comfortably take this series.
What do you know? Japan not even standing a chance in this series. The lineup overall just looking very strong for New Zealand. That Reno Mage that they've been relying on so heavily is looking like a really strong deck as it currently stands. It's able to take out the Shaman in the early Druids. It's got too many big threats. Up against the Warriors, it's got too many big threats. I'm thinking that was a really smart bring to the tournament.
Yep, I agree. And just New Zealand continuing to show their consistency in the Hearthstone Global Games. Last year, incredible performance. They made it all the way through to the finals at BlizzCon. Patra has been a bit of a regular at BlizzCon over the last few years. But this year, New Zealand just showing they are still here and ready to put up a good fight. They are going to be facing off against the Philippines in the winners bracket, which I believe is going to be coming up next. So don't go anywhere. We've still got 3 matches coming today. More Hearthstone Global Games coming up after this.